Hey, jerks. Good afternoon. A little bit early. I've been doing a lot of these early lives lately. This one's going to be a little different today. I think we all need a break. If you've been following our show and you're free Karen Reed, especially if you're on Twitter right now, you're probably like a little bit stressed out. There's a lot of drama going on. So we're gonna get into something else today. Maybe later on we'll talk about it. I don't know. But I got some guests here, and we're going to talk about music, intellectual property, and basically a story about a band I've been following out in Salt Lake City. Dave who the guest today is going to be Pepper and Dave. And Dave is somebody I've known for quite a while. He used to co-host my girlfriend's WAF Bay State Rock show. Used to play a lot of local music bands. People probably know him from that. Also, from Unregular Radio, where I first got my first guest spot, my first show, and where my best buddy, Michael Malta, also had a show. And Unregular Radio back in the day was just so friggin' wild and creative and an amazing time. We still talk about it, Bedford Street, Boston. We had an internet radio station, and it was a party, and it was fun, and you never knew who was going to be there. You just never knew what you were walking into. Sometimes it was awesome. Sometimes it was a disaster, but it's where I started. It was unbelievable. And Dave was one of the co-owners over there. He often was behind the board, managing the shows, putting on a lot of local music. They were so local music focused, putting over a lot of bands. And then later on, WEMF Radio, that was actually like a little over 10 years, because that's exactly when the Young Jerks started. We started the Young Jerks because of his second station, his second internet station that he was managing, called WEMF Radio. It was right after my friend Michael died. And so Dave has been there for me creatively. He got me started on this run doing these shows, and very thankful for that. He's also somebody who I would say he's booked. I want to know how many bands he's booked over the years, because I've booked a lot. Back in the day, I used to book a lot of bands, but he was doing it every single night, every week. He helped me with so many shows. I remember the McGann's shows and just different benefits that we did back in the days for different causes. And Dave was always there and helpful. And he's helped a lot of local music, a lot of local musicians. He's in a band, and they're a great band. I like them. I've been following them, Spirit Machines. And they've been having some issues with intellectual property and a dispute with band members who have left the band, claiming that they own everything. And it's just one of those things. I've run into it in the past. I had an issue with Riccio way back in the day with this show related to some similar things. So I know what this is about. It's a tough situation when you're working with people in a creative process. That's something that's maybe more like a hobby, but that could turn out to be something like my show. Like my show forever was basically a hobby, and now it's an actual real thing, right? And so a lot of people run into this. What happens when somebody leaves your project, your music project, your show, your creative endeavor? That's what we're going to kind of talk about, and talk to them about what's going on with their music. I think they have a show tonight. They've played some music. I think on a video game. They're doing stuff, and they've got some great videos that just came out. So we're going to speak to them right now. Let me bring them up. This is Pepper and Dave from Spirit Machines. Welcome to the show.
What's
Hello.
up, Mike?
Hey. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. I don't even know where we want to start. You want to just tell us about your band and how you got going, and what's up with your band right now? Or maybe about yourselves too. A little background on who you are. I think I gave some on Dave.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Dave, that's a great introduction for Dave. He moved to Salt Lake City in 2018, and I met him and was trying to break into the local music scene. So I perform under my own name as Pepper Rose, and I was, I'm a singer-songwriter. I have my own songs, but we joined forces to create spirit machines. And so for me, I do a lot of like folk and country because we're out of here in Utah, and so that's kind of the vibe that people like. I do well. I have a country heart, but I also like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin are my favorite bands. Stuff like that really rocks. And so it's been really cool to make spirit machines and get to express that kind of harder side of my heart. And yeah, we made the band in 2018, and Dave knows all the local musicians, so he put the band together.
Yeah, I like you had mentioned with WEMF, I left there, Boston, and was extremely sad. And I wanted to, instead of supporting other people playing music, make music myself, but also support other people playing music in the while doing that. I definitely still book a lot of bands out here, but mostly at our shows. And I don't know, this music was just like flowing out of me that was probably should have flown out of me like years ago, like 20 years ago. That's a whole other backstory about like my old band from like 2002. But I don't know, the music came out and it was because of Pepper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was funny because I actually went to MIT out there. So I had done about 2.5 years in Boston and loved it. About the times that like the bombing stuff happened, things got crazy, and I ended up leaving that program and coming back home, with my tail between my legs. So when I met Dave, who like really understood what I had went through, I was on campus during like the shooting, for example. That was a really stressful episode for me.
What campus was this in Boston?
On
Berkeley,
MIT campus.
Oh, MIT. Oh my God, I was right there.
Yeah,
I lived 2 blocks away. The 7-Eleven on the corner there.
Oh, the famous one.
Yeah, I was there that night when
I just happened to be walking outside of campus when the officer lost his life, and I was a witness on the scene, and I just got really stressed and went failed out of my program from it, and went like really just had to go home. And
you
so
were
when
witness to that the police officer. Wow, because I showed up 5 minutes after it happened. I walked to the store. I just got out of work, walked to the store, and all of a sudden I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah, the scene, all the cops descending, and
and the press too, like
insane.
And then they all left to Watertown. You remember
that? And then everyone was on the news or on Reddit watching, and so you understand. And
and then for the next 2 or 3 days, just helicopters and martial law. I'd walk outside my house with a dog, and there'd be cops in the bushes. I'd be just like, "Don't shoot me! I'm walking a dog."
For real, I got pulled off my bike because I didn't have a kitchen in my apartment, and I got hungry. And he was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to Kebab House. Like, I'm starving." And he's like, "Kebab House is open?"
Yeah, the cops were. That was the only thing that's funny too. Is the cops were. That's one of the things that happened to me too. I was like, you gotta check out Beauty's. Get some Beauty's pizza, bro.
Yeah,
because they were looking for places to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there were all these out of town cops. They weren't even all. They were from like all over the state. It was crazy.
We were all in it together, and so after feeling that community and going back home and being kind of like loose in the sea, like when I met Dave, I was just like, this is somebody who understood this like trauma that we all went through in Boston, and it really kind of brought us together. He had me on, he was trying out for a podcast here and had me talk about my story. It's called Slug Sound Waves. And, I just, that's how the music got started. He was writing this dark stuff. I was going through this, had the dark words and different things. But that was many years ago. And, like you said, we've been moving in this new direction, trying to put together a new band, trying to find a new, we worked through it together.
So we eventually, I like handpicked from going to open mics and just the people out here, the way that I would back in Boston, some musicians that I thought would play this harder music. And that was this dude, Mike Collins, and Sergio Marti Carrena. Eventually, actually, Pat, which is on Facebook, is Marco Lee. I had him play bass to like try to rein the drummer in a little bit and like get the band going. And so like Pat was the original bass player, wrote some of the original songs These songs that we wrote in the first album, we wrote within the time frame before we even started the band with other people.
Yeah, we performed them at the farmers market, which usually I would make a lot of money. You're talking about, this being your business. Like my business was playing Passionate Kisses out there for the babies and dog walkers at the farmers market.
That's
and
me, dog walker.
Yeah. It's a dog parade out there. And, Dave would come and we would perform Spirit Machines songs, which is, very theatrical. I would be like crying, sometimes I'd be acting out, we had a song about domestic violence. Like we were bringing it out there and people would just stop and be like, what is going on?
What is that?
And
you don't, it's hard to understand, like, you're out in Boston and everyone is like, you don't know that Salt Lake is actually a place. The farmers market is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine the Boston Common had like 300 different local artisans come down, and people just like, I mean, you can't really get to the Boston Common like very easily, so this couldn't happen there. But it's just like, it's a frenzy there. It's crazy.
It's where you bring your dog to show it off. It is like when I said dog parade, like I'm serious. Like Salt Lakers, we're outdoorsy. We all have dogs. It's part of it. And but anyway, even when we put the band together, we were still bringing this alternative feel. We're about to go. We submitted to this battle of the bands that we had been in previously, and we didn't win because we brought our like hardest rock to a very indie rock. Neon Trees is the bassist of that is one of their judges. Like, you know what I mean? Like we've just been cutting against the grain here, and it's kind of how we got into Zober, because I was like, we need some covers to help contextualize some of this. And I love Led Zeppelin. I love Tool. I was like, we got to cover some of this. Dave loves Aerosmith, and so we were like battling it out. And he was like, we can do a cover if we like shorten it. But I was like, how do you shorten Cashmere? Like, there's just so much gold in there.
I was like, we can do a cover if we do it like at least our own way.
Yeah.
Like Manson did like
Beautiful People.
Well, Sweet Dreams.
Yeah.
Sweet Dreams. Yeah. That was the cover.
And I had heard this. There's this awesome mashup, Sweet Dreams, Eurythmics, and Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. And
yes,
I was like, let's do that. Let's cover that. But Dave was like, they did it. And so we were just like trying to find songs that went together. And Dave played, Cashmere, and then I was like naming Tool songs that maybe were approachable, because like you can't really cover Tool. Like it's really, I always get excited, like maybe we can do it, and then I listen and I'm like, because even Maynard's a really challenging technical singer that's difficult to emulate. But in any case, there was this magic moment when Dave was just sitting there like, and we just looked at each other and we're like, whoa. And I was like, Tool fans are gonna hate this.
Did they? They did.
Well, look at the video that we sent you, Mike. Most of the comments.
Do you want to play a little bit of it now?
I mean,
or do you have?
Sure.
We can play it at the end. We can play it now. What do you want to do?
The thing is with that video and this situation is that like let's play the video for sure. But like the context of it is that like these dudes that we played with, we did accomplish a lot with.
Mm-hmm.
But like it like hit a point that we can no longer work creatively with these people.
Well,
this video is one of those accomplishments, and it is
great. But it was difficult. We really had to do a lot of convincing. We paid for it personally ourselves. I got my childhood friend Casey, who's like a drummer. His production company is called Behind the Kit. So, and I knew that Mike would want to be featured, and it would have to like kind of be about him. And I was like, well, we'll have this videographer who will really be able to feature him because he knows. But I had to like drag Mike literally out of bed.
And this was the week before COVID started.
This was the week before COVID started.
So we were like, we have to do this right now.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of apprehension about like, let's not do it. And like, me, Mike, like I'm a doer, like let's make stuff happen. That is unfortunately not really there's not the drive. The drive out here is very different. This is a California like suburb,
Oh yeah, Dave's constantly frustrated, and I tried to tell him when he came here. He was like, "I'm gonna restart the local music stuff, and recreate." He told me about WMF. One time, he was just like, we bonded over. We went to an open mic. I brought him to an open mic because I knew a Boston bruiser would get me in. where a sweet thing couldn't, and they were kind of disrespectful to us. And he was like, "Back in Boston, like this would never happen." And I was just like, "Wow, you really are talking a lot of smack," but in visits to Boston, it's true. Like I see a little bit of that, but I told him, I was like, Salt Lakers were a little broken. These are people who left the LDS church or are still in it and they live inside of a different box. I'd say our wings are clipped. And I told him, like, you're going to have to go back home if you want that kind of energy. And he's like, at Boston, we're like this. Salt Lakers are very like, we'll wait and see. It's been amazing meeting Dave and getting this energy because I also, am a doer.
I mean, I had to slow the energy down too. I think that the Boston, that speed is a little too fast.
A little.
But yeah, play the song. This
Yeah.
song was shared by Tool right after the George Floyd.
Yeah, Adam Jones said it made him smile. And to make a God smile, like, what more can you want?
Hopefully it comes up. Read this.
This is a song that I recorded too.
just a worthless liar. I am just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and fall as well. I will find a center in you. I will chew it up and leave. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Why can't we not be sober? I just want to start this over. Why can't we drink forever? I just want to start this over now. I want what I want. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I want what I
That was so friggin' good. That was amazing.
Thank you.
People are loving it in the chat. They just
Good.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I first saw that Tool like shared it, the first, I gotta say, 14 pages were just people commenting the word no, which was hilarious because as a Tool fan, I know like belligerence and anger is like, and I was counting on it, and it's just a funny. I haven't watched that video in years, so thank you.
Did you pick up some fans from Tool though at the same time, even though there was a lot of people who were angry about it?
Oh,
I mean, we watched in like a moment's time our Instagram rise from like 1,000 people to like 5,000 people or something like that. It was a ridiculous moment. Your phone just like goes like this, and
I was scared. I was at lab and I was just terrified. Because I was like, people are gonna see my boobs. Oh my god. And I mean, anger is some people's love language. You have to understand. But yeah,
I mean, what is that like when you create this thing, you get this video out, it looks great, sounds great, and then Tool shares it? You must just be like, holy F, like you must have just shit yourself, right?
What more could you want? Like I was kind of disillusioned for a while because I was like, what more? That was beyond any of my hopes or wildest. Like, I'm not a musician like Dave is. It's not my whole life. It was just a part of my life, and I just couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to want next, and I was very afraid that they would sue us for sure.
And so because of that, we essentially started a LLC. So if we were to get sued, it would not be me personally, which for me and us actually at that time would not have mattered whatsoever. Like I didn't own anything.
Yeah, we were destitute, like living in this 450 square foot hovel in downtown Salt Lake, and just living off.
Because the thing about this song is it is a mashup, and it is only a mashup because Pepper changed the words.
I didn't know the rules, and so I thought it would be, fun to get the chocolate in the peanut butter, and so I sing, and it kind of is a trick because people are like, oh, they're just covering Cashmere, and then when I put the Tool words in, they're like, what is going on? And then when I come out with it, it's this big trick,
But legally, you can't change anybody's chords or lyrics without asking them. And then publishing it. I mean, you can like play live at shows or whatever. But once you do that, like you got to get their consent. Like there are medleys out there. Like I was weirdly on the road and heard this like Freebird, Baby, I Love Your Way medley. That was a #1 hit in the 80s. And like, it's a similar thing. It goes back and forth.
Oh yeah. I mean, mixtapes have been around forever. Like,
well,
Static Selector?
Yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to live with him for a short time. He got big for remixing street mixes, and then basically the record companies were coming after him while they were actually hiring him to like actually start working with the artists he was remixing. You know, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a weird thing in the industry because sometimes that helps you get your foot in the door, but it also
Well,
causes problems, right?
I mean, you look at like the Dead Mouse story. Dead Mouse is a guy that he's a producer. He produced like the last Chili Peppers record or one of them. He became famous because he stole the White Album and Jay-Z's Black Album and made the Gray
Mashed
Album. And it's like the most illegal thing ever. Meanwhile, now where is he? He's at the top of the game.
It's like Static. Like I remember he's doing stuff with like I can't even remember the artists back in the day, probably Jay-Z, 50 Cent and all that. And then he got hired by them all after they I think sued him basically. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
funny. Like
And you ask what it was like at that time. What it was like for me at that time was like, holy shit, I've finally done like what I'm trying to do. Let's keep going. And, for months I had been, and I was working on this back in Boston at WEMF. I had been really focused on Facebook ads, which now it sounds like everyone uses Facebook ads. It's just like common practice. But this was when they were like first coming out. And I had been investing my money in like running ads and whatever. Meanwhile, the drummer was very adverse to this. We had so much momentum, and like at that time when things were just blowing up, he was very adverse to dedicating any amount of money towards that. It was a point in time where we could have like really taken it with our money and like extremely blown up. But missed that opportunity. Of course, took advantage of it at some level, but
His scheme in things was to sell and I see I think her name's Cassie. I've seen it a little bit. It's the free CD scheme where you have people pay for shipping on the CD and kind of lure them into larger packages
and get their email.
So we had we did capitalize on it in that way. And meanwhile, we were packaging and sending out thousands of CDs. And that was work that Dave and I did personally, like, getting these people's addresses right.
In the middle of COVID.
So we had a lot of time on our hands. I bought like a t-shirt printing machine off of Amazon, was printing all these shirts personally and sending them to fans, handwriting letters to fans, kind of developing these relationships.
So you're investing time and money into the business of Spirit Machines. And I just want to let people know in the chat too, if you like that song, it's linked in the top of the YouTube chat, so you can click it and follow them. That goes right to your YouTube, right?
I mean, it goes to a YouTube that those members currently have access to.
Yeah.
Should we put up some different links then for them?
I mean, the video that you'll show later is what we're currently working on, and like in this lawsuit that is coming, either from them or from us. Who knows who will strike first? We are going to get that back. These people believe that they're going to take our band over, a band name that I created. I was a very big Our Lady Peace fan back in like when I was young in 2002. That's one of their records. It's they're a huge influence of mine, which is like a guilty pleasure to say now. But that's where the band name came from. Their record's called Spiritual Machines. We are Spirit Machines. And
I mean, it's funny thinking back to that time because we were doing a lot of this actual work, like taking hundreds. Like if you're trying to mail 100 things to the post office, you have to actually get a scan sheet so they don't have to scan them all individually. Like we were figuring out the mail system, making friends with postal service workers, doing all this stuff. And I invited them to help, and they like couldn't even get the label off.
I mean, Mike would say that that's not what he does.
Yeah.
What Mike added to the situation was this marketing scheme, which was kind of like he won't admit it this way, but a zero profit market scheme.
And it was
one in which that would end up us losing money.
Well, it's hard because he he was always very focused on money, and this is an interesting. I think why this story is should be interesting to people is some people are like, we don't do it for the money, but he really was in it for the money. He would always say things like printing money, and if he didn't want to buy things, and so I would like secretly buy them so that I could send stickers with the packages, and or just shield him from some of the facts that some of his schemes weren't profitable and that we lost $1.75, per these transactions. And meanwhile, I'm like doing the taxes, having to sort through thousands of transactions, talking to our CPA, paying for our CPA personally. Like, we really got a little like small business course in that, and it was fun. We love doing that. And Mike did, he had ClickFunnels and all of this infrastructure and overhead, and it's hard. I always wanted to do a Kickstarter, but he didn't want to be shamed if your Kickstarter doesn't work off. We're constantly like working around some of his ego problems, and going back to your ask, what was it like to suddenly be at this, I won't say that we were truly viral because we reached a point, but it's scary. Success is scarier than failure. With failure, what's next, which is nothing, or whatever, your couch, Netflix and chill. Success requires you to send thousands of CDs, be exposed to criticism on a larger level. And the criticism was there, like some of these comments. And, if you really are going to blow up, just look at what's happening with Chapel Roan. Like, people should think about what fame really is and what it means. And I don't think that they really wanted that,
Tell me about it. Yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking about a lot about that this year.
Yeah.
It's my shit blew up this year, and it's just it is different. It is really, you can do I'll have one of the best shows ever. Like 85, 99%, everyone likes me, all the comments, and you'll still get like 10 or 15 people that hate you, just for no reason.
Oh yeah.
Like,
they don't hate you, Mike. They hate themselves or whatever you bring out of themselves.
They're having fun. This is people go on their phones to engage, to get what they want out of it. And sometimes engaging negatively is what is bringing them there. People love to be trolls. There's a lot of, I had a neighbor, her name's Shannon Blake, and she is everyone's favorite thing to hate on. She's a TikTok star. You've probably seen her. She's got like dreadlocks and has like this positivity.
Have you really
message.
not seen Shannon?
I don't think so.
She's like that like hippie girl on Instagram that's like showing her sexy body, and she's always like positive energy. And
people
don't know her.
For me, I don't really do Instagram. It's funny. I have an account, but I really never use it. So yeah,
she's more on TikTok, but I've watched her go from my neighbor, who got me to my first open mic, to having she makes $4 million, so she says, a year, and those haters pay her bills. Money.
Oh, that's the thing too. I mean, if you've made it when you have haters. I mean, that's what I always say now. Like you're making, because they make you money. They totally make you money. It's so funny.
Just look at Amazon. If you go onto an Amazon product, it's real when you look at that percentage of 1-star reports of I got this and it did not work.
So tell us about what happened here, because you got your band and you've gotten to this point, and tell us, because you won a contest this year too, right? Something exciting might be happening too.
Well, before we get to that, so we made the LLC, and this is interesting because we're living in the internet age. Mike went online and found this influencer lawyer. Her name's Crystal Delgado. She's a very beautiful, talented woman who is an entertainment lawyer, and she's an entertainment lawyer personality in addition to being a real lawyer. And so he contacted her to make our operating agreement. But unfortunately, the operating agreement doesn't assign intellectual property to the band. It's missing some like real key points. And
in this contract, which is an operating agreement, not a band agreement, it does not say the word music. It does not say the word band. It does not say the word band name. It does have the name of the company, which is Spirit Machines LLC. I'm not sure it is an LLC. It might just be a partnership.
Yeah.
which would be funny if it was not an LLC because that's in the title.
I mean, our CPA set up our initial thing, and he's not really a business person. He was doing it from the tax purposes, and so we're all making mistakes. You know, Crystal, I'm sure she's learned a lot since she did that for us in 2020, and but basically, it's interesting. So then we were kind of fizzling out. We're a band, you know, like we kind of. The ad started not working. Mike got kind of shut down and didn't know what to do.
Because you only really have one moment that you can pour everything in there.
Yeah, Facebook stopped. They limited targeted ads, you know, with some of the privacy settings that Apple put forward. The laws change. And so before, Facebook knew so much about people. Like it knows that all of my partners previously are Pisces. You know, it has some granular detail. It really found us those fans who wanted to listen to our music,
which were mostly it was a crazy experience for me. Lots of Trump supporters. You know, this is a political show. I'm from a liberal bubble that you live in, Mike, and it was very weird to, you know, now be friends with a lot of these people that I otherwise wouldn't understand. I don't know. It just was like music really does bring people together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was beautiful. People after George Floyd, they wanted to connect. You know, a lot of them have maybe Black partners that they're trying to connect with at the same time that they're having Confederate flags as their Facebook profile picture. And, you know, we were all reaching across the aisle to rock. But we had a hard time, you know, continuing on that momentum. As you know, you have your best show, everyone's watching, and then you have a show, and you have to emotionally deal with that. And when you're just a bunch of hurt people, it was really hard. But then the Cyberpunk contest came up.
Well, hold on one second.
Oh,
it's like I think the answer for me of what happened after that was that I had written the second album, then it took out of insecurity and scaredness 3 years for the rest of the people, including Pepper, to be okay to put themselves out there again. And a lot of the songs that these people, Mike and Sergio, want out there, I wrote in 2020, 2021. I've been urging these people to fucking learn the songs. I'm sorry, but it pisses me off because these people are about to say that I don't want to make this music. And it's like, I've been trying to make these songs since 2020, since 2021.
That is true. We had many band meetings about how, and I was frustrated too. I didn't want to play the same songs over and over again. I was like, we need to learn the new material. We would take breaks during our shows where Dave and I would perform the new material just acoustically, you know, together to just practice it. And
this music is really meaningful to me, Mike. You know, one of these songs, it's called Crystallize. A good friend of ours died, Mary. And I wrote a song about Mary, or at least like I believed that she was kind of like helping me to write it. And that was in 2020.
I remember that. Yeah. I asked Dave, what's this song about? And he told me about his, you know, my friend just died. And I just want to know how to reach her.
So like, you know, this song just keeps on getting put on the back burner. We're not doing anything. We're kind of doing stuff. But we really need to make a second record. So then, like, we do make a video that we spend like $10,000 on because we're like have to, I don't know, like
to outdo Zober. And so we made the Catch-22 video.
But really should have just been making like small little things here and there, just keeping momentum. We waste our wad on that. And then we don't do anything for like another year and a half.
Yeah.
Just like really utter just complacency and I'm in all these other bands and everyone's getting mad at me because I'm not like focusing on that music when it's like I fucking wrote the album.
Yeah, the album was done.
Learn the fucking album.
Yeah, they weren't learning it. That's why it's so funny that they're just like, you guys are excluding us. Like, and Mike would constantly say like, there's so much more money left in Feel Again. We don't even need to release a new album, you know. And we were having that sort of thing. So when the Cyberpunk contest came up, we both heard about it at the same time because I was really into the tabletop game that is Cyberpunk.
Do you know what Cyberpunk is, Mike?
I think so. It's like punk, but like internet, right? Like kind of
It's-
like
No.
Oh, it's a very elaborate. It's like Grand Theft Auto meets Knights of the Old Republic meets
Okay.
like
But no,
Um,
but
The
before
Matrix.
any of that, it is a tabletop game like
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, and so it's been made by this Polish company, CD Projekt Red. They're behind The Witcher. The Witcher is their other really successful project that is bridged to Netflix, and they do a lot of fan interactions. You know, they have a huge following of people who love this game, and
so would you say like tabletop, like you said, Dungeons and
Oh,
Dragons? It's
in a
very
book.
like a role playing game.
It came out in the 70s, right? Or
I-
80s?
yeah, maybe the
Or no,
80s.
the books, this first like cyberpunk style, like you're right, it is a style. Book came out in the 70s, and that was
It's like Cyberpunk 2000 or something, or
yeah, you like
or
read all
2020.
these books.
Yeah, and then like Cyberpunk Red, they have a bunch of editions. You know, tabletop games are like that, and they have this elaborate world that they had created into this video game. The video game itself was a controversy because they released it and it didn't work, and people were mad. And
Like it had a ton of
Um,
bugs.
yeah,
It was a
so
very highly like anticipated game, and it flopped because
But-
it worked, but just not in every like you could be different characters, only one of the characters worked.
well, it was a phenomenon because all of this hate was coming at them. Those people who were hating on it were interacting, and they kind of developed this new culture of interaction, fan art. You know, they wanted to win over these fans, and those fans that were angry are the ones that were the happiest when they fixed the game. And so they were releasing this new update to finally fix the game, and they had also released a Netflix anime called Cyberpunk 2077, and is it
Edge Runners.
or Edge Runners? Is Franz Ferdinand
Yeah,
the-
Franz Ferdinand has like the lead song.
the
in
lead
it.
song? But you know, that anime blew up, and I'm sure that was really expensive for them to pay Franz Ferdinand. And so they were like, we're gonna have bands make the music, and then we'll just own it. And so we entered this contest along with 7,800 other musicians, and we won. We were one of 14 winners, and so then we get this contract.
Hold on.
Oh.
Back up real
Okay.
quick. So the
Sorry.
thing about this contest is, well, how did you find out about it?
Oh, we had some friends that we'd go over and play Soul Calibur with, and I'm too dyslexic for video games, so I would just sit and read their books, their tabletop game books. I'd be over at the sewing table with Cyberpunk 2077, getting nerdy, and they play Soul Calibur and
And like Keanu Reeves is in this game.
oh yeah, Keanu
You know,
Reeves.
So it's like,
yeah.
we got to learn about this game. It's Keanu, like his character in the game.
He's a musician.
Yeah, he that like blew up this power plant that causes a nuclear apocalypse, and she like learned about this while we were, just hanging out with these people like years before the competition. So when the competition came out, those people texted me immediately, and they were like, "Yo, you should write a song," knowing that I personally write songs, like theatrical songs. I don't know if you know about my other half, Mike, but I'm also Frank Fox.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you were wearing the mask in some of the videos.
It is. I am open about it now that I am in fact.
You don't think I figured that out a long time ago?
So
You don't.
There was a moment though where I didn't know. Remember that? Like I think at that. I can't
I
remember.
can't believe-
Katana. She did that little march thing. You remember that? I didn't
Yeah.
know then, but I
Yeah.
figured it out pretty quickly.
That wasn't me. I don't know.
Oh,
what you're-
I think that might have been Lax. Actually,
I can't even
I
believe
don't
this
know.
is real, because you have to understand, I met Dave and I'm finding out about Frank Fox,
Yeah.
and I thought that we were going to write a rock opera with Spirit Machines. That was the original
People
plan.
are going,
and so-
Frank Fox. That's an inside thing for guys.
well,
Yeah.
he's a main character in the Spirit Machines music. You know,
Oh.
a lot of I've written to that, and so yeah, when the Cyberpunk thing came up,
It was just like a
we were
perfect
ready.
meld of like
Yeah.
like the vision that I have for this band is to make this rock opera. Something that I feel like I've been fought against for a long time.
well,
And this cyberpunk thing was just kind of like a beautiful transition.
and Mike wanted to do it, and so it was something that he did want to do, and so suddenly we had a green light to create. And you know, we studied really hard. It wasn't an accident that we won the competition. I did just so much research on the game. We watched the anime, and worked really hard. Dave had some great gems that he pulled out that we combined. And yeah, we wrote Candy Shell and
I mean, secretly, I was gonna say, but secretly, the riff is a riff that I'll just say is inspired by a local band named Cars on Mars. I don't know if you remember Cars on Mars.
Yes, I do.
From F
course
Nice
I do.
Records.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the first bands Dex ever tried to book on the Hemp Fest. He hit me up. I didn't even know who Dex was at the point. I just remember that was the band he was trying to book.
So like
that's how I met you. Like that's how my first moment when I knew there was even like a Dex and a Dave.
Yeah, and that's
like,
why
even before
like,
I'm regular.
A lot of this stuff, man, like the writing of it and the songs, they're just so deep. They come from so long ago. If you listen to this song, Candy Shell, like, I mean, it's not exactly the same as this Cars on Mars song. I like made it a point. I improved it, is what I believe.
Now you're gonna get sued by Cars on
I
Mars.
mean, Anthony, I talked to Anthony a few weeks ago.
They're
like,
cool with it.
I don't know. Maybe he'll sue me. I don't care. Like,
well,
the thing, but I don't know in the fucking song
so
anymore.
This song, like the song too, like the so you like you said, like how many people submitted? Like 7,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they picked how many?
14.
Wow, so that's like another huge moment for you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, wow, you must be like, this is something. Like where
I mean, and this one particularly was awesome because, like, you know, Zober, that was like us writing. Like, I mean, it was just a cover.
That's Tool and Zeppelin. Like that belongs to them. All the props belong to them. If they love it or hate it, like we're just the messenger.
Sure.
You know, this was our original song that we wrote, and
it's another level.
There's the Cars on Mars aspect to it, but it's also like this mode and form is something I've been writing since I was like 15. There's a song that I have called Jeanette that I wrote years before that has like very similar chords. It's just like an evolution of what I've been doing. So it was really an awesome.
It was fun. We did it really quick. We really only had 3 weeks, I think, to get in the studio and get it done. Sergio wasn't in the country, sadly.
So I played bass on the track.
Yeah, that's a sore point for him, and it's hard. But what's interesting about this case is that you know, they wanted people to write the song, so they didn't have to pay everyone, and so we got these contracts that showed us what it's like. What the language is like when you assign. We first had to assign intellectual property to ourselves. We wrote this song. This is ours. Ironically, this is one of the, like, pretty much the only song that Mike did contribute to the structure of the song. You know, he had this kind of like cyber psycho part in it. You know, we assigned intellectual property to ourselves, and then we gave it absolutely away to CD Projekt Red, and they own the song in its entirety. You know, they were nice enough to tag us on Spotify so we can, and you know, gain, but we don't get royalties.
This part of this will be disputed and is disputed by bands all the time. You know, like traditionally what songwriting is chords and lyrics, and arrangement as well. Sometimes arrangement can be perceived as performance, and it is up to a judge and up to people to perceive like what that is. Chords are pretty hard to dispute. Lyrics are extremely hard to dispute. So this part, however, that he added is quantized, and what I had to do on bass made the part work. When it comes to a live form, it's really difficult for it to be achieved without the bass being played how it was played there in that moment. So it's like, it's one of those things that when someone kind of like comes up and like accidentally steps on your painting, and you have to like work around it.
Yeah, it broke the band trying to perform this song live and dealing with the fallout of, okay, we have another hit that we don't own. Can't really capitalize on, you know, how are we going to make it happen? And so we went into the studio and recorded a few more songs from that universe, seeing if we couldn't, you know, capture some of that audience, which was fun for me, doing the research and everything, thinking maybe they'll buy it from us too. It was hard. We never got paid because, like, it's really hard to get paid from Poland. You know, we couldn't sell CDs. People try and buy our CDs from Poland. We have this audience in Poland now, and it's hard to reach them. And then we were at practice and shows, and there's just bickering and fighting over who's right about the part, because it was created in the studio and
To a metronome.
it's
And
difficult.
the beat is like
Yeah.
extremely just technical. It has a very like
Yeah.
certain accent to it that like the computer has changed to make work. But if you don't have the technique to do that, it's just really hard to achieve live,
Yeah.
especially when tempos are moving between 140 and 165.
Yeah, and I think the contract with CD Projekt Red and the legal side of things was bringing to light the fact that maybe our understanding of who owned the things was in question. And so I think it was another thing that did hold up the recording of the second album, because who was going to own it, especially as things were falling apart? Like, what were we going to do? I was kind of having an enough is enough moment. You know, with just some of the attitudes, doing all the work, driving, putting the gear in my car. This kid never set up his drums. I had to, like, me and Dave set up his drums at every single show.
Are you
I don't know
kidding
if
me?
that's
Are you
exactly
kidding?
true every
You know how
single
many
show.
shows I've booked? I've never seen a drummer not participate in setting up their
Oh,
own drums.
the last
Unless
show-
you're like, you know,
yeah.
a rock star. Come on.
I mean, there's
kidding me?
reasons around it. He wouldn't put the drums in his car. You know, it was just, he just had this attitude. He wouldn't wake up by 11 one time when we needed to leave, and just the constant disrespect of spaces. And, you know, he was ruining a lot of relationships. That big video shoot that we did, you know, there was just a lot of conflict and fighting. Sergio brought alcohol onto set, even though he was told not to. Like, there's a big laundry list of things. But the last show that I played with them, it was time to start the show, and I was like, I'm not doing this. And so I just set the drums on the stage, and showtime came, and he was just standing there looking at them, just like, you know, like, this wasn't done for me. And I just said to myself, this is never happening again. Because my friend was in town to see the band, and I just felt so embarrassed. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, well, we're not over there doing it for him. So
it's like, you know, there's a lot of this stuff that's obviously petty and
It's a band,
and
you know?
like, you know, it's like you're listening to one side of a breakup.
yeah,
But, you know, ultimately it's like these people who, yes, added to songs, performed on them, but we're not the people who wrote the chords and lyrics to them, which is like what intellectual property is based upon, especially like most of it, the deciding factor of like how it gets used in the future, are trying to claim it essentially. And it seems like they want to, like, they're going through this process of like kicking us out of an LLC that they may not have the ability to actually do.
they're being so. And here's the thing, and it's been interesting on this side of things. We're talking about small business of being in a band, where so now the law is involved, you know. And so I'm talking to a lawyer, and lawyers want to get paid. They are running a business. And so I see these lawyers on both sides, like ours, theirs, trying to draw us into this expensive lawsuit, but their lawyers aren't really as experienced, or I don't know their story really, but I'm not really sure what their end game is. But even the LLC and them expelling us, like,
Which is not a thing that they can actually do. They think they can do.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they
and
cannot do.
But then there's this other thing of like, what was in the LLC about who was putting the money in? Because I'm ready to go in front of the judge and show all of my receipts, you know, all of the times we put money into the overdraft drawn account. And when I finally called it quits, we messed up. And when you sell t-shirts and you want to be above board, you actually have to pay state sales tax, and which is a completely different filing from the IRS tax. And there's like all these rules about it. And we hadn't paid sales tax in the whole 5 years that we were a band. And so I was finding, and it's because we forgot to renew our Utah business license. You have to have a Utah business license. You have to have a city business license, you know. There's all these levels. And so I was finding out about this and had to go through all of our transactions, all of these things. And so that I could pay Utah sales tax, because, you know, they were like, now that we know you're an entity, and we had to register to become an entity because Facebook really cracked down and said you can't really advertise unless you have these business licenses, unless you have these things, you know. And Dave and I were just like, they were, I don't know what they were doing, not really participating in this. You know, we were fighting, and Dave and I were spending hours and hours trying to figure it out. And I paid like something like $1,400 in back Utah sales tax. And I had asked them, like, okay, so you're 25% of this business. Can you like give me 25% of this money? And the answer was no, we're not. And I was like, well, can you do a marketing campaign to raise the money since you're so important?
Yeah.
No.
See, that's what's so frustrating in this situation is that you two, we had a couple questions about you. You're a couple, right? You're a couple?
Yeah. Domestic partners legally.
Yeah.
They are domestic partners, answering that question. But you're the creative forces of this band. You've invested the most time, the most money. You created the songs. It just, these guys are out of the band. And this is not a big money-making machine.
No, it's
But
for
heart. You know, but it's so petty. What they're doing is so cheesy and so petty. And so many of us who have worked on creative projects, whether it's a show or a small business, it's just like, this is the stuff that you just don't do. You just don't do it to people. You if you leave a project like this, you let it go, especially when you're the singer and you're the main musician. It's just,
I asked them to leave. They want to go on a hiatus. I told them that would be a permanent hiatus because I'm no longer going to play with them anymore. And it's just like for me and us, a hiatus is not an option. Like, dude, that, like I said about Mary, like we could die.
Oh,
like this. Yeah.
You don't have time. You want to do this now while you can. Why should you wait for them? Why should you wait for people who aren't carrying their weight? It's the same story over and over. You know, it
hurts to get fired. You know, I got fired from MIT after that. I was stressed. I didn't perform the way they wanted me to. It took me a really long time to heal. It's hard to take a look at yourself and take responsibility, and they're not quite there, you know, and then we have this political environment where facts don't matter. The law doesn't matter. You know, they're pretty much saying your music, my choice, is what, you know, their narrative.
Which they've honestly been saying for years because they've just been deciding not to make that music and therefore making the choice for my music. Which at this point now,
you should have the choice to move on. You should have the choice to move on and continue with what you're doing under your name that you've invested in. They didn't invest in like you did. So it's just clear to me.
I mean, those guys
shouldn't even need to go to court. These guys should just get a heart and do the right thing. It's just ridiculous. I don't get why people act like this.
It's you know, I try to empathize with them. These are people that I spent a lot of time with and do care for. This is making it really difficult for that to be the case. And I understand that, you know, they did put a lot of time into this and they apparently love it. But I think that they need to do some serious looking at themselves, as I have, and I'm not trying to judge, but like the past 2 years, you know, when I left Boston, I was really fucked up, Mike. I mean, I think that you kind of know, I wasn't very open about,
I knew stuff was going on. I could tell.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I met you, I was fucked up. So there you go. Did you know?
Well, I mean, I kind of know some of your things, and I think about that.
That was like my lowest point in life back then. That was when I first met you.
And I think what I'm about to say might strike a chord with that. You know, like in the past few years, like as far as being Pepper's partner, I wasn't always a great partner to her. Betrayed her many times, unfortunately. For me, really, just because it was I don't know, it's just a betrayal of yourself. And I had a breaking point when my grandfather died, and I don't know, I just looked at myself and I was just like, I don't want to be this person. What happened to me in Boston in my past marriage is just like leaking into my life now, and I just decided to take some responsibility for the problems that I was creating in my life. This band was one of those problems, allowing these people to have possession or like get in the way of my creativity was something that I was choosing to do. So I created this name, Spirit Machines. I used to make music and cover a bunch of Our Lady Peace songs with my sister. It means a lot to me because of a fractured relationship that I have with her, for some really deep-seated trauma that I have with her. So it's just like this name. It's not just some marketing ploy. It is who I am. I was asked why move forward with the name, and that's why. These songs are part of like what I do. And I like, if someone wants to make a bunch of money off the name, like that's just not what I'm about. I don't know. Like I definitely want to be famous and whatever and play. I want to play in front of thousands and millions of people. That's what I love to do. But money, like I could walk out of that show after me and lose money and I would be totally satisfied
I know
with
exactly what you mean, bro. I know it. It's
that. And this is, I clean up rock stars' messes right now.
At Live Nation,
Yeah,
he's
like-
the green M&Ms guy for like the real rock stars, you know.
Do we
and-
have any good rock star stories you could tell?
I can't. I signed an NDA.
Oh, NDA, yeah.
Yeah, so I can't.
Can't tell us about Eddie Vedder.
I can't tell you about the sriracha sauce, but but yeah, it's just like, because that's the question, is like, why don't we just change the name?
Oh, yeah, we're getting a lot of pressure from people being like, just change the name and that. But for me, it's really tough because at MIT, I had a really abusive boss. They had their whole, I found out later that, for me as a Black woman, it's easy to live in a reality where you're just, it's not affecting you. Mike, the drummer, once asked me, like, does racism really affect your life? And like, it does in some ways. I was healing. MIT won in that case. I fought for my master's, but in this case, that was my life, or that was my professional life. That I'm not a big. I learned the hard way about whistleblowing. This is my art, and so I'm gonna fight for it. Like Spirit Machines, Meet and Dave. The betrayal is a tough thing. And for me, I've also not been the best partner in the past. And I think it's, it's been this healing fantasy of making the band work. And every time we were struggling in our relationship, we really came back to the music. Because when it comes to functioning as a creative unit, despite all of the trials and errors, like we've created some great videos, we've created some great songs, we've entertained a bunch of people. And so it's for me, it just means so much more. And it's really hard because those guys, they contributed to that negative atmosphere. It was hard when we think about the breaking point. Yeah, Dave's grandfather died, but also COVID was happening, and there's another power couple in our scene, is Izzy and Jazzy Olivio, and he got COVID and died. And they were, they sang together and played, and even now she shares a lot of videos of when they played and sang together. And so when Dave told me, he had this come to Jesus moment where he told me, and was like, I really want you to help me be more honest. Like, and I was like, well, if I'm going to be honest, then I really need these two guys out of the band. Like I can't, the 5 people you spend your most time with are who you are. And,
Exactly. That is so big.
Yeah. And I was just like, I don't want to be like these people. Like, I don't want to talk to their sad girlfriends. I don't want to be dealing with women on set. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that happened. And unfortunately, like, somebody died. Like Sergio's girlfriend is in prison now for vehicular manslaughter. And I had been begging them to drink less, not drink and drive. They weren't listening, and I was thinking about his widow and about Jazzy, and I looked at Dave and I was like, you're alive. We're alive, and we have this opportunity to connect and make music. Like, I'm not going to sacrifice this because somebody thought that our free labor could run their scam business. It's just, and that's why we made the Kincaid video, you know, just to segue into that part of things, you know, because we're not just making music to sell video games or anything. Like, this is our heart, and we're putting
What
it
you
into
love to
music.
do keeps you going.
Yeah, and that's what we're up to, you know.
Yeah, I
We're
know
do-
all
we're
about it.
doing
It's like people have like this year because I've done well actually on this show. People are like, it's all about the money. It's like no. If I didn't do this show, I'd be miserable. I like literally would be miserable. That's why I do the show. Just does something that I feel like I can contribute. You know,
Yeah.
it's just what we do. It's our thing. We got this. Please pass the pepper, who always is part like in the chat here.
Oh,
And so it's so
yeah,
funny because they're saying,
Pepper.
"Hi, Pepper. Nice to meet you.
I love it.
Please
I
pass
love
the pepper." Yeah. And we also have one of the best video creators on YouTube that I follow. Microdots is here. He's a creator. He's enjoying this today, watching this. He's a, you know, like I said, this is a show today for people who work on things, whether it's a small business, your music, maybe it's a production studio or a show or whatever you're doing. This is something a lot of us run into. When we used to do the shows when we were in studio and I have sidekicks and all this other crap and producers and sponsors, I ran into a lot of issues like this. It just, that's what I love about this show now is that I can just do it from home. I don't need anybody. I don't need any sponsors. My listeners are the sponsors. I just love you guys. Thank you so much watching. But it is very difficult. This the stuff that crushes your soul. Like I've been there. I know exactly where you're at. So that's why I want to have you on today because I like your music. I love Dave. I've been watching Pepper. I love your music. People liked it today. We were already playing it, and I know that you got some new fans.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to play another song. Anything else you want to? I mean, so that song that we talked about for the Cyberpunk. Is that going to go in the actual video game?
So,
What's the deal?
Yeah,
on
we
that?
didn't really
it's
complete
in
that
there.
story. So, like, you know how in Grand Theft Auto you're playing, you can like switch the radio station.
Yes.
So the 14 artists that won this competition consist of a radio station called Growl FM. So you can play the game and like, you know, listen to the song and it will come on the radio station. It plays like at different places too, and if you play the game, like you can find the record like on a
In the
voyage, yeah, and like it writes about me and Pepper and Mike and Sergio, and we have backstories. I'm actually like
That's
the
amazing.
son of
And
the rock.
it's out right now? Is it already out or
yeah.
not out?
Well,
Yeah.
you have to
Okay.
get this. So we're a fictional band in the game,
Wow.
and so they gave us a fictional gold record,
Gold record.
for our
That's
fictional
amazing.
band, which is this is our trophy.
You got a gold record. That's amazing.
It's a
Someone
fictional-
else paid for it.
It's a
Like
fictional.
it's funny
gold record.
because you know most bands have to pay for their own gold records to their label.
Yeah.
You got a gold record and you didn't have to pay for it, right?
I mean,
we paid for the song and gave it to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's
and we probably won't receive money from them.
Yeah.
So
we tried with the IRS, but it's too complicated, and we're not a big enough of a business to really make the IRS do any work for us.
Yeah.
So, but you can find the vinyl and in the game. It's an object in the game that you can hunt for and find. So
We
That's
also
going to pay off
wrote-
for years. I remember my friends. I booked them on the Freedom Rally a bunch of times. Graveyard Barbecue. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yep.
They had that song that was on Guitar Hero.
Oh, yeah.
And that made them like that.
Oh.
They could play anywhere in the country and get like 25, 50, 100 people
Yeah.
just from that game without
That-
any
that
promotion
is
anywhere else.
not
Just from
the
that game.
case for us.
Well, it's
Like,
different, right?
we-
Well, it's just like Guitar
Different
Hero.
world,
this
too, now, though.
huge, like mainstream game.
Yeah, that was such a huge game.
And like it's funny, you know, we all like know a lot of the people who made that game, so I understood the magnitude, but also
Harmonics, yeah.
unmagnitude of the situation. It's like really cool, but you know, like we know the dudes who made Guitar Hero, and we know how. Yeah, they used to come on regular radio.
Yeah, Harmonics guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Uh,
That's
they're
so
all musicians. I mean, there was
Yeah.
like Peter, you know, a lot of the people. Yeah.
you guys know everyone. We went to the Sonic Symphony recently, speaking of video games. And there was this band playing all the music from Sonic, and Dave's like, I know those guys. I
Yeah,
was
they're
just
just
like,
Boston cats I used to work with.
But
Dave knows a lot of people.
yeah,
I would ask Dave for connects a lot of times. You know this one? Yeah. He always knows a guy
that's true.
or a band or whatever I needed when I was doing that stuff back in the day.
That's why I do what I do now. I just
Yeah.
find the shit for the rock stars.
Yeah, I guess
Perfect person to do it.
Yeah.
last words are we're gonna put out the album. You know, we've been working really hard retracking some of the songs that were misses in the studio. You know, some of the songs we're gonna release with their performance because they came out. Nobody's gonna sue anybody over it because
I mean, unless they release the songs in which that's a copyright infringement of between $200,000 and $500,000.
I don't know if this is not like Lady A, you know, fighting over a name. Like nobody, we're just not that big of a deal, and so my strategy is just like release the music. You know, the fans did pay. We raised about $8,000 from our fans to have all their names in the album, and so that's one of the reasons why we have to continue to do it. It's just we're gonna put out music that, you know, that Dave, the creative director, it says that in our operating agreement.
No, it says it in our band contract was not signed.
There's some division of things. Dave's made this all public. We've moved into the public free court of Facebook law at this point, you know, so if you can go to his Facebook and find out more about it. But anyway, we're gonna make the music, and but I wanted to put out Kincaid kind of first, just to show that, you know, it's all about the heart and love. And you know, you said that I really appreciate your validation and creating and being in a business, and it's hard when relationships and conflicts, like there's legal issues, there's band logistics, petty issues, and then what do you do when your small business is your partner and you're having partner problems? Like that's a whole other level that we've been navigating, and I wanted to give people some hope that it's possible to get, you know, to connect on that level, because you need that love, you need the people in your life to do any of it, you know.
Yeah, it's just, sometimes it's great to work because my girlfriend and I actually work together on a dog walk business and our dog care.
That's awesome.
So sometimes it's great because it keeps us like on the same mentality, same path. But sometimes it can become frustrating actually, because you're like, oh man, like, does the business ever end? You know what I mean? It's just funny. It's like,
you know that.
yeah. I think it, for me and my girlfriend, I think it actually saved our relationship a little bit. Like made us.
It's like your baby.
Yeah. And it's something that we did together. Like, and it wasn't a sure thing. Like we took a big risk. We actually left our jobs and invested in it, and it ended up working out. Like we did, we kicked ass actually. So
that's amazing. Congratulations. That gives me hope, because that's how we feel about Spirit Machines. Like I don't want to stop, because this is what kept us going when we were at our lowest point. It's the us between the you and the me that kind of helps
just
drive.
Stay with that. Keep focusing on it. I mean, she's the one who I gotta say, my girlfriend kept me going in this too this year. Like a couple of years ago, I was ready to quit all this stuff, and one of the frustrations was like what you said, COVID. We lost all, you know, we couldn't do a studio with sponsors anymore. It was just so we started doing the Zoom thing, and I was missing the phone calls, and all of a sudden she's like, yeah, AF closed, and she's like, I'm gonna do a podcast, and I'm getting equipment. You want to chip in with me? And I said, what are you buying? And I looked at it and I said, I could do phone calls. I'm in. And as soon as I had phone calls again at home, it was like, okay, I can do this now. So it was just same thing. It's great when you can support each other on what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
It is
you have
tough.
the same passions, you know?
There's definitely, you know, some resentments that flurry up.
Always. In every relationship. It's how you deal with them, right? How you got to try to be honest and communicate and work through them. And
yeah, that's what Kincaid is. You know, we were fighting, and at this moment, you know, we're like, oh my gosh, how are we going to dismantle our whole lives? And we looked at each other, and Dave picked up the guitar and started playing, as he does when he wants me to write, and we wrote the song. And you know, we were able to make this cool video with a local fencing club. These fencers are really funny because they're finding community. They're young people. They're very fun to watch through this, you know, narrow lens of fencing. And so we were like, what is fighting like? What is, you know, we have them in there. You'll see the video in a sec.
Well, yeah, we're gonna play that to close the show. I'm gonna make sure that there's no. Yeah, I do have that up. Hold on a second here.
Yeah.
All right. Before we do that, you do have a show tonight, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you playing? Tell us about that. If anyone's watching in Salt Lake, let's try to get them out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, come to the show. It's at the DLC, which is at Quarters Arcade Bar, down by Exchange Place. There's an arcade there. We're playing with our now kind of sister band, Soulfang. Soulfang is also on a redemption arc because their singer left, and the guy who writes all the music in that band and pushes that project forward jumped in on bass with us because we were being like sad girls together, you know, like our bands are blown up, and so we helped him find a singer for their band, and now they're back at it, and this is our first show together, and so it's just a great I don't know, a victory lap of staying in the ring.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's tonight at the DLC.
9 p.m.
Yeah, it starts at 9. We play at 10:15.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, with the new guys, yeah, our new drummer and guitarist, they're brothers as well, Judon Casillas and Demetrio Casillas, or Meech and Sam Robertson. Yeah, I just am really grateful to those guys. It was a risk, you know, getting out of a toxic relationship and starting over, and it's just fun again. These guys, they show up ready, they set up their stuff, and I just wanted to shout them out for giving me hope that this is still worth doing, because it's mostly just about having fun.
Oh, it
And-
makes such a big difference when you like the people that you're working
Yeah.
with, you get along with them, and
Yeah.
it really does make a difference. I'm happy for you. That's
Oh,
great. I hope the
Thanks.
rest of this drama kind of just these guys come to their senses, you know, just let it go, guys. Let it go. Be happy with what you guys accomplished
mean,
together. You know
They
what I mean?
can accept money. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna pay them. We could even have a royalty deal,
Yeah.
but that's gonna take a level of healing, and it just takes time, you know. But they have their own projects they're starting to work on that lets me know that healing has started. You know, Sergio's in a band called Noble Pest. Michael,
Maybe you can end up doing some shows together or supporting
maybe I
I
could
hope so.
record their album. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
They gotta start supporting what you guys are doing. Like let you make your music. It's
Yeah.
just
yeah, it'll be okay.
it
One
will
way.
be okay. I hope so.
I mean, I'm gonna keep on writing songs and
Yeah.
booking bands, and you know, this is what I do.
I had a question for Dave before I let you guys go. A couple more questions, real quick. Because I was thinking of in the past how many bands I think I booked back in the day.
Uh-huh.
How many bands do you think you've booked? Because I think it's way over thousands and thousands. But I'm wondering, how many bands do you think you've just booked shows for?
Look at your Google Calendar. I looked at Dave's Google Calendar when he was still booking shows in Boston with Heather, and I was like, it hurt my brain.
Well, all right. So I would book like 200 shows a year for like maybe like, let's say like 10 years.
So that's like, what is that?
But-
200
And
times.
so that's like 8,000.
Yeah.
And there's probably more.
And then you're not even probably talking about the bands you brought into the studio too.
No, yeah, that was.
So those are more shows, really. I
But
mean,
like, I mean, if
Are
we're
you
gonna
talking-
talk
yeah.
about that, we're gonna have to talk about Heather Timmons. 'cause
yeah, to bring her up. She's great. Heather
Yeah,
Timmons.
I mean,
she's still
Heather-
booking too.
I
Yeah.
know. I love
Tiny
Heather,
Oak.
and I wish I could help her still, but I just can't do that stuff anymore. I've tried, but it's just
Yeah.
not.
And I will say that sometimes I feel like maybe we're not even that good of a band because Dave's just a great promoter. And so like a lot of our success is just Dave getting people into the room.
I mean, that makes a difference for a band
Mhm.
success, obviously, but you are great.
Oh,
I mean, you are just, and you guys are both. I just was, watching your music and listening. You're amazing.
I accept
So,
the buttering. You
yeah.
made the rest.
I'm being honest. You know, Dave knows. I'm not easy on people, am I, Dave?
I
I'm
don't
not
know
like a
anymore.
music expert or anything, but I know what I like.
It's
You know what I
hard.
mean?
It's hard to know. You know, like the Boston music scene. I don't think they ever regarded me as a musician because I booked 8,000 bands. So moving out here was kind of like a identity like restart to be like I actually just play music. But
Who's
I
the
don't.
kitty?
Yeah, this is Roger. This is Roger
Oh.
Clemens.
Oh, hey, Roger.
He's
You gonna throw 20 strikeouts today?
not today. He's just
It's just a
He's
kitty
yeah,
today.
just
Aw.
taking kitty steroids.
He's cute.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So, a couple other questions that came in. People want to know that first video that we played earlier. Where was that in terms of filmed? Where was that filmed?
Oh, so Casey Frederick, his band's called Principium, like speed metal guy, really old friend of mine. He, it's in rural Idaho, and so out here, like there's a lot of ruins, a lot of ghost towns and a lot of ruined mills, as things moved from different energy styles. And we actually have another video that maybe Dave will. Oh, I don't know if we still have it. That's at another ruined mill, but it's somewhere up in Idaho, kind of where Napoleon Dynamite was filmed.
I think it's literally in the same city as where Napoleon Dynamite was made.
Yeah, it was a funny shoot because
Which is far from here. It's solidly like a 4-hour or like 3-hour drive.
we really had to drive in.
But that's not far for people drive 3 hours in
To get anywhere.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Locals come to kind of hang out and graffiti and drink, and it was funny because we got a lot of like play a different song, people being tired of our filming. It was terrifying. Like the structure is not safe. I was
And
scared.
so this video that we're gonna play now, who's behind that one? This is
Casey Frederick.
Kincaid. Is this
Yeah.
Kincaid? Yeah.
Yeah, Casey Frederick filmed it, and one of Dave's friends that we brought in, his name's Jed Pearson. He directed it. He's a Gemini, and just is one of those things when you explain something badly and say, "Do you know what I mean?" He does. He's like, "I do."
We rented out the state capitol here in Utah, which is like I don't think you can get in the state capitol in Boston like freely, but this one you can just like walk in because it's public property. But we did like get a permit for a bunch of money, and because we had fencers in there fighting, and then we went to Memory Grove, which is just next door at night, and made the end of the video. It's another very like municipal. I don't know, like Roman or Greek looking building. But yeah, I just love to make videos. That's always been something that I've wanted to do and want to do it a lot. So
We do.
that's what's behind it.
Yeah, we do.
Perfect. So we're gonna close the show today with Spirit Machines. This is your latest video that just came out like 2 days ago or one day. When did this come out?
Like less than 24 hours
So
ago.
it's brand new. Kincaid.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? Kincaid.
Yeah, it's just like there's a football player on the Buffalo Bills, Dalton Kincaid, that I think it might be named after. He's from Utah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play that to close the show. I just want to tell everyone, I'm gonna be as a guest on Calling All Beings tomorrow at 7:30. I gotta make sure I promote that. DJ's in the chat. Check that out on their channel tomorrow night. I'm gonna be a guest. Usually I'm a host. Tomorrow night I'm the guest on Calling All Beings, their YouTube channel, with Britt and DJ. I'm looking forward to that. Check that out at 7:30. I want to thank everyone who's watching, listening. Definitely support this band.
Dude, thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Where can we I know like we have your YouTube, the video, I got it in the chat.
Yeah.
Are there other places people can find you and promote you and listen to you? I'm sure
If
you're
you
on
want to hear what
Spotify.
we're up to without the conflicting members, you can go to @Spirit Machines Music on Instagram. That's our main hub right now. I think that and TikTok, we're at Spirit Machines on TikTok. Those are ones that we have access to. The other ones are being held up by the Chooms, as we call them.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on here. This has been great to talk about it. I hope people learn some stuff and learn from our mistakes. That's all we can do is learn and laugh and sing.
Is there anything that you would suggest to people in a similar situation to kind of protect themselves in the future?
I would say just like don't start a business with people who don't do their taxes. Like maybe do a credit report or a credit check on people that you're going to enter into an LLC with. Have like a real like plan out the contract and think about like don't enter into a relationship with anyone who you wouldn't want to get divorced from. If you can't fire someone later and know they're not going to egg your house, like maybe don't put that in writing. If we hadn't put anything in writing, hadn't gotten a trademark, just really think about it. And just like in a marriage, people get prenups, just plan out your exit before you enter it. And also know that you have to pay sales tax. I don't know. There's
a long list of that. If you hit us up, we'll tell you what not to do.
Yeah, follow your heart.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
And are you're on social media too, like individually, if people want to reach out to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm at Pepper Rose. If you Google Pepper Rose SLC, you'll find my Instagram and Facebook, and I have a Bandcamp too.
My
at Pepper Rose
Instagram,
SLC, like Salt Lake City, at Pepper Rose SLC.
Yeah, pepper.rose.slc.
I'm at Spo SPO Rules Dude on Instagram, and I'm the most famous Dave Crespo on Facebook.
Spo Rules, SPO Rules. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to close it by playing this latest Spirit Machines video song here. Thank you so much, Dave and Pepper, and thank you everyone in the chat. And definitely follow them and hit it in the chat. Make sure you follow them on YouTube and everywhere else. Thank you so much, Dave and Pepper, for being here tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good luck tonight at your show.
Thank you.
With the Young Jerks, I want to thank them so much.
action. Okay, cut.